we can't get around the fact that Trump's policies are, of course, the setback for climate action. There is a whole lot that it will continue to happen right around the world that will push further action. The clean energy juggernaut is very much happening, and our speakers will touch on that today. But we also wanted to really explore today the issue of misinformation. Obviously, Trump has used that to great effect in the United States, both in the previous term and now in this election campaign. And unfortunately, lies helped Trump swing the election, from baseless claims about immigrants to conspiracies about scientists creating hurricanes to a whole range of different things. And I don't need to reiterate them for you. I'm sure you're very aware of it. So we're really concerned about what that means for the Australian context, and I know you will be too. So what we wanted to do today was bring people together that can really give us some thoughts about how we can combat misinformation in the Australian context, and what are going to be the big issues around misinformation for this election.
The world has changed an awful lot since Trump last came to power in 2016, right? That was just after the Paris Agreement had been agreed upon. And now, 8 years later, what we have seen is a global mega trend is emerging where investment is shifting away from fossil fuels towards clean energy technologies like wind, solar, storage, batteries, electric vehicles. And now, uh, global investment in clean energy technologies overtook global investment in fossil fuels in 2018 and is this year expected to be roughly double investment in fossil fuels. And so this is a world historic trend that is changing the world economy. And the election of a Republican president in the United States, even one as unpredictable as Trump, a climate change denier like Trump, cannot slow that historic global momentum. And that is reason to take heart, even as shocking as it is. We have a climate change denier in the White House.
Well, I think we're all seeing an onslaught of myths and lies. And while they are not new, we've dealt with them certainly from the day that we were set up as an organisation. Today, they're spreading further and faster than they have in any time in our history. And we're seeing some really scary things with artificial intelligence in how photographs, video, audio content can all be manipulated. And I think previously we would have liked to have thought we could rely on our own eyes, but today that's a little bit different. Another key difference is that this is actually embedded in the business model of social media platforms. And it's also certainly a key strategy for those who want to slow down the clean energy shift that's underway. So we're seeing multi-million-dollar marketing campaigns being run right now, and their aim is to undermine renewable energy, to spruik nuclear energy in Australia. They're being run through social media advertising. We're seeing new websites popping up that claim to present facts, reliable information to people. And we're seeing a whole army of digital influencers who are being paid to spread mis and disinformation. So in short, we are up against it. But I think Climate Council really specialises in providing reliable, accurate and persuasive content. And that certainly matters more now than ever before.
Yeah, some examples that you found that work effectively.
So I wanted to pull out 3 things that we consistently aim to do throughout our work. The first is getting out in front. And we heard from Bowen that, this idea of pre-bunking, we don't want to wait for a disaster to strike. We don't want to wait for people to be inundated with mis and disinformation. We actually want to get out in front, be proactive and be talking to people about what the situation is, why they're experiencing worse extreme weather, for example. And we've done that ahead of each and every traditional extreme weather season. We get our experts out there, we get them talking in the media, we get them producing content and explainers online. And it means that when extreme weather does hit, people understand, like, okay, this is why I'm experiencing, bushfires and then floods within the space of a few months. The second thing that we concentrate on is using trusted messengers. Again, this was referenced earlier, but people's level of trust in institutions and governments is at all-time lows. The figures coming out of the US in particular are quite confronting, but this is a global trend and it's happening in all countries, including Australia. It makes sense that we listen to people like ourselves, and a lot of people are relying more and more on family and friends for where they get their news and where they get their information. And that was why we set up the Climate Media Centre 9 years ago. And the idea of the centre is it goes and finds and trains and supports people from all walks of life to speak out in their community, because people need to be hearing from people within their own communities, peers like them. So that might be farmers if they live in agricultural areas, or doctors and nurses if they're worried about the health impacts of climate change. The list goes on. And the third thing that we really try to do is tell our own story. I think when we see something wrong, our first instinct is obviously to correct people. I better go tell them. But so often we can get caught up in giving more and more oxygen, all our energy and all our time in fighting and combating something that actually is a distraction. So we want to concentrate most of our efforts actually on telling our own story. And really in telling that story in ways that are sticky, that are compelling, that are persuasive, because our story is amazing. Coal is on the way out, so we need this plan for new solar and wind power backed by storage. It's the lowest cost option we have. It means lower electricity prices. It's a safer future for our kids. There's loads of benefits for Australians in going down this path. So
thank you to all our panelists. You've been awesome tonight and given us a lot of food for thought and some practical suggestions. I think the wake up call we've all had is Donald Trump's been re-elected, and that lies can swing election results. It has in the past, but we've got new evidence of how that works in a different political and different environment in terms of social media and media. So for the Climate Council, we've got a clear plan. We've pushed for action in all sorts of political situations before and with difficult media and social media environments before. And so we're absolutely gearing up to work as hard as we possibly can to make sure truth is top of mind. And if you can spare any dollars our way and consider supporting us with a monthly gift, that would be amazing. We will continue to strive to answer all of your top questions around these issues, but also to, of course, be working as hard as possible to make sure that as many Australians as possible get why climate is absolutely critical, that it's harming Australians now, to tell the stories about why it is so important, why this is important to all of our kids' future, to tell the story about the transition, to tell a story of hope, and to tell a story of why global action is important. So we'll be doing this every day into the election and well beyond.